Dark chocolate sounds healthy. But 1 ounce of a 70% to 85% cacao bar still packs about 170 calories. Bottom line, if you want chocolate, dark chocolate is usually a better choice than milk or white chocolate. But if you don't already enjoy it, the possible health benefits are no reason to start. So let's answer 3 questions. How strong is the evidence? What should you look for on the label? And what does a sensible portion look like? A better treat, not a health essential. That bottom line comes down to what is actually in the bar. The word dark on the wrapper and even a bitter taste doesn't tell the whole story. What matters is the balance of cocoa solids and sugar. Dark chocolate is still a treat, it is simply a better option within that category. Dark chocolate generally contains 50% to 90% cocoa solids. Milk chocolate usually contains only 10% to 50%. Cleveland Clinic registered dietitian Devin Pert notes that dark chocolate has less added sugar and fat than milk chocolate and white chocolate. A higher percentage of cocoa solids also means more of the cocoa compounds researchers are studying for possible health benefits. That same 1 ounce serving of 70% to 85% dark chocolate contains 12.1 grams of fat and 6.8 grams of sugar. It also provides iron, magnesium, zinc, copper, and phosphorus. So in one small serving, you get cocoa and minerals, but also calories, fat, and sugar that still count. So if you already want chocolate, choosing a bar with more cocoa and less sugar is usually more reasonable than choosing milk or white chocolate. But if chocolate is not already part of your diet, there is no need to add a serving of candy just for the advertised health benefits. Pert puts the issue plainly, dark chocolate does offer some benefits, but not enough to recommend that everyone add it to their diet. By weight, it is still a calorie-dense food. That leads to the next question. If dark chocolate is still a high-calorie treat, what exactly are researchers interested in? Cocoa flavonols may be the active ingredient. Dark chocolate may affect the body because it contains more cocoa solids, not because it looks darker or tastes more bitter. Compared with milk chocolate, dark chocolate contains roughly 2 to 3 times as many flavonol-rich cocoa solids. Flavonols are a type of polyphenol, a plant compound found in cocoa. They are linked to the body's production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and improves blood flow, which may in turn lower blood pressure. Dark chocolate with a higher cocoa percentage will generally provide more cocoa solids and flavonols, and it often contains less sugar. But the cacao percentage tells you only how much of the product is made from cocoa solids. It is not proof that eating the product will produce a specific health effect. This biological pathway helps explain why dark chocolate is worth studying. By itself, it does not prove that dark chocolate prevents disease. Even when a mechanism makes sense, we still have to ask what human studies have actually measured. Promising heart signals, but nothing like a drug. Of all the health claims made about dark chocolate, the cardiovascular evidence is relatively stronger. But the most accurate wording is still cautious, it may help, and most of the findings so far involve changes in health markers. Research suggests that dark chocolate may help lower blood pressure. Other studies suggest that it may reduce low-density lipoprotein, or LDL, often called bad cholesterol, while raising high-density lipoprotein, or HDL, the good cholesterol. Those are encouraging cardiovascular signals. But the limits of the evidence matter. When discussing blood pressure, Cleveland Clinic specifically notes that more research is needed. Changes in blood pressure, blood flow, or cholesterol markers do not prove that dark chocolate prevents or treats heart disease. There is another side to the equation. Dark chocolate contains saturated fat, and saturated fat is associated with high cholesterol. Cleveland Clinic registered dietitian Devin Pert notes that the potential heart benefits of flavonols may outweigh the downside of the saturated fat. But that does not make the calories or saturated fat disappear, and it does not turn dark chocolate into a heart-healthy food you can eat without limits. So the takeaway is limited. Dark chocolate may improve markers such as blood flow, blood pressure, and cholesterol, but any possible benefit still has to be weighed against how much you eat. Beyond heart health, the same rule applies. Look at what each study actually measured. Beyond the heart, which benefits are still only possible? For claims beyond heart health, Ask one question: did the study find a short-term change, or did it show a long-term effect on disease? Those are not the same thing, and the difference determines how strong the claim can be. So far, the brain-related findings are short-term. Studies suggest dark chocolate may support attention, memory, and learning, and its caffeine may briefly improve brain performance. But that does not mean dark chocolate prevents Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease. That remains a hypothesis that needs much more research. The same caution applies to mood. In one study, participants who ate 85% dark chocolate every day had better overall mood scores than people who ate chocolate with a lower cocoa percentage or no chocolate at all. Polyphenol may also reduce levels of the stress hormone cortisol. These are interesting signals, not proof that dark chocolate is a treatment. Then there are findings involving insulin sensitivity and the skin. Some studies suggest that dark chocolate may improve insulin sensitivity, meaning the body responds to insulin more effectively. But dark chocolate still contains sugar, so portion control remains important for maintaining healthy blood sugar. A review of studies has also suggested that cocoa flavonols may improve blood flow to the skin and help protect it from damage caused by ultraviolet light. May help protect does not mean dark chocolate has been proven to work as sunscreen on its own. Taken together, the findings on brain function, mood, insulin sensitivity, and skin health are promising, but they are not proof of long-term benefits. The evidence still requires careful language, some evidence, and more research is needed. Start with the cocoa percentage, but don't treat it as a health seal. The cocoa percentage is a useful place to start when choosing dark chocolate. In general, more cocoa solids means more flavonols and less sugar. A product labeled only dark, with no cocoa percentage, gives you less useful information. But a higher percentage is not a health certification. It does not erase the calories or tell you how much you will actually eat. 2 bars with the same cocoa percentage can still have different serving sizes, sugar levels, and other ingredients. After checking the front of the package, turn it over. Start with the ingredient list. Cleveland Clinic registered dietitian Beth Cherwani recommends checking that cocoa is the first ingredient and avoiding products with a lot of filler ingredients. Then look at the serving size on the nutrition facts label and the sugar per serving. Her reference point is less than 8 grams of sugar per serving. And remember that the label gives you numbers for 1 serving. If you eat 2 servings, you need to count 2. Taste matters too. The higher the cocoa percentage, the more bitter the chocolate will usually taste. Pert notes that many people do not like very dark chocolate the first time they try it. If you are not used to it, you can start at 50%, then gradually try 65% and 70%, instead of forcing yourself to begin with a very high percentage. The practical choice is a product you enjoy and can eat in a controlled portion. Dark chocolate is often considered a dairy-free option, but dairy can still enter the product during manufacturing. If you are sensitive to dairy or follow a dairy-free diet, check the ingredient list before buying. Once you have chosen the product, the other half of the decision is the portion. How to count the portion and the caffeine. Cleveland Clinic gives a reference serving of 1 to 2 ounces, or about 30 to 60 grams. The key word is moderation. This is not an amount you need to eat every day. 1 ounce is roughly 3 small, thin squares broken from a larger bar. In practice, use the weight on the package to portion out what you plan to eat, then slow down and enjoy it. A small amount of dark chocolate may feel satisfying. Setting out the portion first is much easier than trying to remember how many pieces you ate afterward. You also need to count the caffeine. 2 ounces of 70% dark chocolate contain about 50 to 60 milligrams of caffeine. For comparison, an 8-ounce cup of coffee contains about 100 to 200 milligrams. That is less caffeine than coffee, but it may still aggravate gastroesophageal reflux or heartburn. If you are sensitive to caffeine, want to avoid stimulants, or tend to experience reflux or heartburn, you can simply skip it. One final number puts the portion into perspective. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Data Central Database, 1 ounce of 70% to 85% dark chocolate contains about 6.9 grams of saturated fat. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommend keeping calories from saturated fat below 10% of total daily calories. On a 2000 calorie diet, that works out to a limit of about 22 grams of saturated fat. So the 3 small, thin squares in this example already provide about 1/3 of that limit. Calorie needs vary from person to person, so this is not an individual prescription. But it clearly shows why the portion matters. This is why dark chocolate is not worth adding to your diet for health alone. The possible benefits are still uncertain, while the calories in saturated fat can be counted precisely. So treat dark chocolate like chocolate, not medicine. If you want it, choose a bar with more cocoa and less sugar, portion it by weight, and enjoy it slowly. If you don't want it, no research says you need to start.